Well, welcome to the last segment of the show tonight. I'm really excited about the Ask Dr. Jane because it's always been a popular event, well received, and everyone looks forward to it. And I'm particularly fond of it because I get to answer your questions directly, and that keeps us connected. Be sure to keep your question brief when you submit them in my social media, because long questions don't sit on the screen very well, and they take a long time to read. So let me begin with our first question here, and we'll get into it. We always have some great discussions around these questions as well. My first question comes to me from Pamela, who asks me, is there a way for us as patients to see if these ICD codes were used on us by our doctors? Thanks. Much love. Well, Pamela, here's the deal with the ICD codes. The short answer is yes, and I'm going to explain how you can find it. It's important to remember, I want everyone to know, the reason Pamela is asking this question is because just about a month or two ago, the International Classification of Diagnosis upgraded or updated their system, which is these are diagnostic codes upon which hospitals, doctors' offices, urgent care centers, anywhere you can seek care, anywhere healthcare is reimbursed, paid for, or your visit costs are submitted to a third-party payer. These codes are used, and they're international, they're standard. There are some slight variations from country to country, but I find it really interesting. Doctors, nurses, healthcare providers of all kinds are very familiar with the ICD codes. They are in their 10th version, so they're referred to as the ICD-10. They were just changed over a few years ago from 9, which had been a very long-running version. So let me show you where you can find them. Anywhere you have a bill, an insurance bill, a doctor's invoice, always get copies when you leave your healthcare provider's office. Always get copies of your bill. And for everything that's charged, you should have a corresponding ICD-10 code. If you don't, and your doctor, does not maintain that on your invoice, you need to ask for it. And it's an easy thing for them to give you. I once had a situation where I was getting some healthcare costs bounced back to me repeatedly. I kept sending it back in saying, you're making a mistake. Finally sat down with someone at the insurance company, and they explained to me the ICD code is for X and you're seeking reimbursement for Y. Didn't even realize that. So I had to go back to the doctor's office, get them to correct the code, the ICD code, and then we resubmitted it to insurance, and it was taken care of. So it's important, and I'm glad you asked the question because it's something that I neglected to mention when I did the segment on ICD codes a week or so ago. Okay, my second question comes to me from Steve and Dawn. They ask, do you think shedding from bivalent booster is worse for unjabbed people? An attempt to jab the unjabbed? A spreading jab? Well, love you. Love your show. Thank you. I appreciate that, Steve and Dawn. You've got a couple of 2-3 questions in here. Let me tackle it from the beginning. Do I think that the shedding from the bivalent boosters are worse for the unjabbed? Most definitely. These are more, I think they're worse for the people taking the jabs. They are, we know for a fact, we know the documentation, the leaked FOIAs, the contracts, the protocols, everything corroborates that these bivalent boosters, remember bivalent, 2 different RNA strands, and who knows how much more, they're going to be more toxic. They've already said they're going to be higher doses, more intense. So my guess is they're going to be making the jabbed produce higher and faster in the amounts of spike protein. Okay, second part of your question is it an attempt to jab the unjabbed? I spoke with Dr. Nagase about that on Wednesday night. Don't miss that interview. I asked him, is there an actual, inoculation between the jabbed and the unjabbed? And he said he did not believe that was happening. So I would tend to agree with him. Still recovering, my apologies. And is it a spreading jab? I think it is a bit of a spreading jab. I think that it is designed to pass on the toxic spike proteins. I think that's why a lot of us who are not jabbed right now are getting colds and flus. I don't think it's because we are unprotected. I think it's because the jabbed are spewing out more spikes. Their bodies are somewhat tolerant to it. So they're not getting sick yet. When they do get sick, they're going to get seriously ill. But we are, after all, what is the spike but the part of a coronavirus that is what makes you sick in a common cold or a flu? So it's simple. Great question, Steve and Dawn. Great question. And by the way, Steve and Dawn had a couple of different questions that were excellent in my social media. So glad to see you both there. And thanks for the great questions. Okay, let's go on to my third question. This comes from Steen Garnett. Steen asks me, do you agree with the theory that viral inference from COVID crowded out the flu, and that since COVID has become endemic, the flu has returned in full force? Okay. Lots to unpack here, but it's worth it. So, Steen, let's start out with the beginning. Do I agree with the theory that viral inference from COVID crowded out the flu? I'm not sure what you mean by it, how you're using the word inference. When I infer something, I am to myself interpreting or experiencing something. So if I say, I'm inferring that you're angry by the way you're talking to me, right? It has nothing to do with imply. I think you mean something like implication, the viral implication from COVID crowded out the flu. We don't know what COVID was. We know people are getting sick. We believe it's a gain of function, that there are materials that are making people sick, that they were able to drop some of this. Do I think that it crowded out the flu? No, I think the flu was repeatedly, mistakenly, over and over again, misdiagnosed as COVID because they needed COVID numbers, COVID, right? So I don't think the flu went anywhere. I just think it got misnamed. They couldn't have 50% of the people with COVID and 50% of the people with flu. And remember this, when the CDC recalled the fake PCR test, they said one of the reasons we're recalling it is because this test has no ability to differentiate between different types of flus, influenza A and B, COVID flu, whatever. And they admitted that. And then it says here that since COVID has become endemic, I don't know what you mean by endemic, but the definition means that it's located within a country or a specific area. And I don't believe we have any endemics or pandemics. So I don't mean to pick apart your question, but there are a lot of false premises in it. And then you said, has the flu returned in full force? The flu never left. It's always been the flu. It's been mixed in with whatever gain of function they dropped. So I think it's important for people to have the right pieces. But I do appreciate your question because it gives me a chance to break those things down. Okay. We move on now to question number 4. This is from Donna DeLeo. What do the spike proteins do to the body? Donna, that's an excellent question. I want to start by referring you all to the great Dr. Sukrit Bhakti, who is an incredible expert. He's been educating people for several years now on how the spikes grow, how they exude themselves. They grow out of your single cell lining of your blood vessels, and your organs make them. What happens to them? They're physical. They get bunched up, and a lot of times they'll stick out. Like, so if this is your cell wall, these things are growing, these spikes, and there's so many of them, right? Like, I'm just going to give you, there's so many, they start to stick out, right? They're just coming out of your cell, and they're just, all out, and your blood flows by, and that's one of the ways that you get lots of blood clots. But the spikes are toxic. They're damaging. They're caustic. They damage organs. They clog up blood vessels. They clog up tissues in your organs, whether it's your heart, your kidneys, your lungs. And that's important to remember. They damage permanently your organs. Very, very dangerous. We're going to get to another question coming up that has to do with spouses, people you're living with that have been jabbed, those have not been jabbed. Is there a danger? Yes, and this is why. Because the jabbed are making these spikes by the billions. They're disseminating them into the environment. They're saturating your home. They're saturating your clothing, your body. So I implore, the people that took it, stop taking these boosters. Stop taking these shots. You are contaminating your loved ones. You're contaminating the environment. You're making people sick. And eventually you're going to get much sicker, and you're going to die prematurely. So stop. I can't emphasize that enough. You must stop. Spikes are toxic, they're poisonous, and they're damaging to your organs. They're permanently damaging. Kidneys, bladder, you name it, brain. Remember, the coronavirus is so small, an electron microscope barely sees a portion of it. This spike is a piece that's coming off, many of them that come jutting out from the coronavirus itself. And so imagine how small the virus is. Imagine how small the spike is, and they can get through anything. They are shed all the time, all over people, inhaled out. They're not going to be stopped by masks, so don't make yourself sicker by blocking and rebreathing your exhaust. Okay? Great question. All right. Let's move on to question number 5. This question comes from Melanie Landis. Dr. Jane, can you discuss monoclonal antibodies, and she puts in parentheses, Regeneron IV, that were given to thousands for COVID prevention and then died? Well, first of all, let me break down a couple of things. I did do a special show specifically on monoclonal antibodies, how they're developed, what they're made of, what they can be made of. There are, I believe, 3 categories. So I'll have to dig that up and maybe do another tutorial on that. But getting back to your question, Regeneron is the name of the company. The name, it's been a while, so let me refresh my memory. They make their, Regeneron. They've made a lot of money. I want you to remember something, that Regeneron is It's untested. Untested. Anything under an emergency use authorization is untested. That means there are incomplete studies for safety and efficacy. Let's see if they've got any other time it would be here, right? Experimental treatment. That's right. It was the combination of casirivimab and indemnivarab. And let's see, what was that called? There was another name. Regencov 2. That's it. Regencov. Regencov was the actual product, and Regeneron is the company that makes it. But the most important thing I can tell you is that those were untested materials. So for people who didn't make it, people who got very sick from them or permanently damaged, you took a medication. You allowed them to give you a medication that had very little informed consent. That's wrong on their part. And that were experimental. People take the word experimental so lightly. It hasn't been tested. And it probably wasn't tested very much on animals either. So it's absolutely absurd. I'm sorry, unless it's last-ditch effort with a stage 4 cancer and you're days away from dying, you shouldn't be taking experimental medications, especially when you think about it, especially for a flu with a 99% recovery rate. So I don't know what else I can say about it, but I certainly wouldn't take them for anything now. And I'm sorry for the people that lost their lives. We tried to warn, right? But we had a lot of authorities, like Governor DeSantis here in Florida, made it available, you kind of pushed it. Ultimately, you have to make your own decisions in life. So I'm going to bring up my sixth question, rather. We have 7. Are the jabbed spouses of jabbed people reporting any symptoms, Dr. Jane? I'm just curious as a marriage-minded, unjabbed gal during this crazy time. Thank you and bless you, Dr. Jane. Well, thank you for the kind words and bless you as well. Yes, many jabbed spouses are telling me that they have serious side effects from their spouse. They have headaches, they have nausea, they have menstrual periods that are coming and going and heavy and things that they never had before. Stomach problems. You are at risk if you are constantly subjected and exposed to jabbed people, right? I did just spend, in a short period of time, several hours each way on an airplane. I was in an event with countless numbers of people. It could have been a rock concert. It could have been, the conference I went to. People are jabbed and they are spewing their toxins. And I'm paying the price for that now. So how long will it last? I'm not sure. Nobody knows. And any frontline doctor that tells you that he or she knows is a fraud because nobody knows. Nobody knows. That's it. That's the way it is. Whether they like it or not. Truth is truth. And if you're a marriage-minded, unjabbed, make sure you find an unjabbed man so that you don't have a baby with damaged DNA that then affects either them or your grandchildren someday. You've been warned. And if you're not sure about that, watch my show from Wednesday night with Dr. Daniel Nagasi. He's a molecular biologist, and he has grave concerns if one or more of the one or both parents to be are jabbed and they have a child. Very concerning. All right. Question number 7 comes to me from Lynn. Lynn asks, do you think every COVID jabbed person will die within the next few years? Well, let me say this. I get this question quite a bit. How long do you think they'll live? Are they all going to die or just some of them? Ultimately, Lynn, that's a question for God. And I don't mean to fluff that off, but I've seen people on ventilators where everything is supported, but they die anyway, right? It's when God says it's time, not when the machine says it's time, not when the poison they were given says it's time. And we don't know what God built into our systems to protect ourselves from all kinds of poisons, right? So do I think that all of them are going to die? Probably not. But I do believe that many, and I do believe that the majority of people who took these shots will die, but they will die paced out over time and across different illnesses, so it won't be obvious. That's the point. That's the key. They'll die over time, little by little, 2 years, 3 years, maybe 10, over different things. Liver failure, cancer of the throat, heart attack, stroke. It'll be all across the board, and people won't be able to put it all together. Right? Uncle Johnny died of a heart attack. Grandma Betty had cancer, colon cancer, and she's gone. It's going to look like normal life, but to those who are discerning and who are watching, they will notice that patterns begin, that the frequency is too high to be normal, mortality rates. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this version of Ask Dr. Jane. I take a lot more time with it than when it used to be on the Stu Peters show. I get a chance to explain a lot more, and I'm grateful for your responses. It seems like you're enjoying it as well. So as I close out the show tonight, I always want to remember to thank you for joining me. Also, reminder that the Dr. Nagasi After Talk to my Rumble is uploaded now and is available. That's rumble.com/Dr. Jane Ruby. It's on my Rumble. I invite you to subscribe to my Rumble channel. It's premium content that's always completely free to you because it's important to your health and well-being. So please subscribe today. Let's build a community. That's rumble.com/Dr. Jane Ruby. And on my Telegram, where I break the medical news of the day, at t.me/Dr. Jane Ruby, Getter, Gab, Truth Social, and Twitter. And if you want to support my legal defense in this baseless lawsuit filed against me by Dr. Robert Malone, please go to givesendgo.com/Protect Dr. Jane. That's givesendgo.com/Protect Dr. Jane. I'll see you tomorrow morning, Saturday, for coffee chat. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend. Have a blessed evening tonight. And I'll see you back here on the Dr. Jane Ruby Show on Monday.